The final verse of the prologue is just as emphatic on the co-equality and the distinction of persons in the Godhead as verses 1 through 3. In verse 18 we read, "No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him." Now, I was reading from the New King James Version, but there is actually a textual variation from older Greek manuscripts that must be strongly considered here. Okay? If you have an NKJV Bible like myself, you'll probably notice that on the side, in the margin somewhere, it'll point you to a note which says that Son should read God according to older or more reliable Greek texts. Other more recent versions of the Bible have this translation. For instance, from the NIV, it says, "No one has ever seen God, but God, the one and only, who is at the Father's side, has made him known." From the NASB, "No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten God, who is in the bosom of the Father, he has explained him." And then from the ESV, "No one has ever seen God. The only God, who is at the Father's side, he has made him known." The significance of the variation hardly needs any explanation at all. Jesus Christ is God. Secondly, we see here again two persons are in view here. We have the begotten God, or the one and only, the unique God, who is the Son and the Father. The non-begotten God, I guess we could kind of say. Following the pronouns, it is the begotten God, or the one-of-a-kind God that has declared the Father. Such a passage would make no sense if the Father and the Son are the exact same persons. How would we understand one person being in their own bosom? Doesn't seem to make much sense if we took it that way in a Sabellian type of understanding. How would we understand the invisibility of the Father if the same person is now visible as the Son? That would certainly be a contradiction, to say the least. Clearly, only two persons can be in view here. One is invisible and the other is the image, cross-reference Colossians 1:15, or the revealer of the other person, the one who makes him known. But both clearly share in the same being that is God, for both are called God in the same text. Also, that Christ is the revealer of God the Father is certainly significant. Notice the first proposition of verse 18. It says, "No one has seen God at any time." And of course we can cross-reference that with 1 Timothy 1:17, 1 Timothy 6:15 through 16, and John 4:24. God is Spirit. Now, if no one has seen God, then we understand the Father. Then what are we to make of Moses seeing God's back in Exodus 33, verses 20 through 23? What about Isaiah's vision of God on his throne in Isaiah 6? Now, if the only begotten God reveals the Father, then it would seem to be the case that Isaiah could not have seen God the Father. Again, no one has ever seen God the Father. Instead, Isaiah saw Jesus Christ. He saw God the Son. The Bible itself makes this connection in John 12:39 through 41, or actually 37 through 42. Notice John's quote from Isaiah 6:9 and how John explains. This is from John 12. He says, "Therefore they could not believe, because Isaiah said again, He has blinded their eyes and hardened their hearts, lest they should see with their eyes, lest they should understand with their hearts, and turn so that I should heal them. These things Isaiah said when he saw His glory and spoke of Him." Now the question that we have to ask of the text is, who is Him that Isaiah saw here in reference to? No doubt, when we read from Isaiah, that he saw the Lord of hosts, Yahweh God. But it is clear that the pronoun reference here, the he and the him of verse 37, is a reference to none other than Jesus Christ. Isaiah thus did not see the glory of God the Father, but of God the Son. He saw the glory of Christ. Summing up these passages from the prologue of the Gospel of John according to John, Jesus was clearly the eternal God in His very being, yet distinct from God the Father in person only. These passages and their exegesis alone provide sufficient grounds for believing that Jesus Christ is the eternal God and Creator of the universe. They also provide sufficient grounds for believing in the distinction of the persons of the Father and the Son. God bless.